The appointments are lined up.
You waiting for somebody in there?
Got an appointment.
And it's not about what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
It's not personal. It's strictly business. It's time you and me had a private talk, Winger. Step into my office.
It's Step Into My Office with Michael Lombardi. Mr. Lombardi will see you now.
Mr. Lombardi will see you now, Josh Allen. Now, whether you are somebody who believes it's on Josh Allen or not, the fact of the matter is 0-4 against Mahomes and Burrow in the playoffs, 5-0 against everybody else. His Bills are now tied for the most wins in a 5-year span without a Super Bowl appearance. What can Josh Allen do, Michael, to help his team take that gotta-have-it step and get over the hump?
Well, I mean, there's nothing more he can do, right? I mean, the reality of it is you're a great player. You play well. I think this whole notion that, you're not able to win the big game or you're just matchup, you've got to ignore that noise. Like, one thing you know about sports, pro football, it takes a team. It takes a village. It takes everybody working together. It takes a lot of great players working in unison. And I think if you get caught up into the whole reality that, you can't beat Mahomes. This is not about Mahomes. You're competing with yourself. You're not competing with the Chiefs. This is about the Buffalo Bills. And I think what you need to do is you really need to sit down with your head coach or with the owner, whomever, and really try to understand why you can't get over the hump. Like, what is causing us to lose these games? Instead of sitting there and personalizing it, can you play better? Sure. Could you play better? No doubt. Everybody needs to improve. But the reality of it is I really think you have to answer the fundamental question, why? And a lot of it is, why aren't we good enough when it comes time to do those things? Is it coaching? Is it players? Is it scheme? And I think the lack of physicality within your team, playing in Western New York in cold weather, the last 2 times you've played outdoors in a playoff atmosphere, the Cincinnati Bengals, who don't have any interest in running the football, average 5.1 a carry. And the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a slightly more interest, average 6.1 a carry, and control the game up front. And until you get to that point in your career where you can control the game up front, offensively and defensively, you can't carry the team. So you can't spend the whole offseason wondering what you could do better. I think you're going to have to ask yourself, what can we all do better? And that starts with everybody in the building.
Yeah, and while the Josh Allen haters are out in full force today, a lot of those issues you just brought up have nothing to do with him. It's about coaching and personnel and what you do with those players that you bring in. How about Mike McCarthy, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who after a tremendously bad collapse in the wild card round, it was announced that he will be back as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys for that last season on his contract. He told reporters this week he's confident in the direction of the Cowboys, adding, quote, "I know how to win. 14 years ago, you sure did. In the regular season, you appear to. Go for it. But playoffs, present day, not so sure, Michael. So what's the most pressing issue that McCarthy needs to solve this offseason so that this team can have success when it matters the most?"
I think, Mike, what you have to do is come to the realization that Dak Prescott is a good player who's overpaid. And Dak Prescott can't be a 50-pass game guy. Now, there may be some times we do it. But we're going to have to get back to being better in the offensive line. We've got to get back to becoming a better run team. And Tony Pollard, unfortunately, has not been the same player since his knee injury. And so for you, you've done a great job of reducing the game. You've played less defense. But we know this, your defense isn't great. And if Quinn doesn't get the job, you're going to have to fix the defense. Because Quinn's going to come in there and you're going to have to change what you do defensively. And it's going to be on you to be the head coach to make those tough decisions. And this isn't just about players. It's about scheme, too. And to be able to win in the playoffs, much like Buffalo, you're going to have to go figure out why you don't win in the playoffs, why you start slow, why you took Green Bay for granted. I think it's going to require a complete autopsy, and you got to come back different. You got to come back and change. Because if you think doing more of the same, or we're close, we just got to get a little bit better, that never works.
Yeah, and that's why he hasn't gotten an extension. This is a prove-it year for Mike McCarthy in the final year of his deal. Let's keep it in the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, despite the win against Green Bay, no question looked shaky for the majority of that game in the weather. While he led the league in QBR throughout the course of the year, since that rough loss on Christmas Day to the Baltimore Ravens, Purdy has 4 picks and just 3 passing touchdowns. What does he need to hear to get right for Sunday's NFC title game against the Lions?
he just needs to play within himself. Take the profits, take what's coach giving you, and don't try to play outside your comfort zone. And really focus on the fact that you let them on a drive that won the game. I mean, whatever happens during the game doesn't matter. Your mental toughness showed up. You brought them down the field. You made a great throw to Jennings over the middle of the field. You did the things you had to do to win the game. And take a lot of pride in that. Don't let the naysayers say you can't play. Like, build off the positivity. Don't build off the negativity. That's going to be the key, because you're going to have a lot of easy throws against Detroit. They're not going to engage you in man-to-man, and you've got to be very comfortable throwing the football. And anything that enters into your mind from the past is only going to hurt you in the future. So for me, you played well enough to win the game. It wasn't your A game, it wasn't your B game, but it was a win game, and that's all that matters. And you got to figure out how to win the next one.
And there's going to be a lot of opportunity against this Detroit defense, as we were talking earlier, to move the football. That line now sitting up to 7 right now. 49ers laying the touchdown, total 51. Let's go out to Philadelphia. Owner of the Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie, of course, had to witness that 1-6 finish to the season, a rough final game in the wild card round. Head coach Nick Sirianni was supposed to have a conversation with him, lay out a plan. Reports today indicate the Eagles have fired their demoted DC and Sean Desai, as well as their interim play caller Matt Patricia, also moving on. What does Lurie need to demand from Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff to feel comfortable running it back with this group?
Well, he needs to give them a comprehensive reason why they didn't correct the problems during the year. And if he was watching the games yesterday and he watched Kansas City earlier in the year, a coach that he fired, a coach that he likes and respects, they had a great career together in Philadelphia, changed and made the necessary adjustments that had to happen. And Nick didn't do that. And so you're going to have to explain, as you are the game planner of the offense, even though you don't call the offense, why we weren't able to block a blitz. Why is it going to be different next year? How are we going to change things? We can change people. We can change the furniture in the office. That doesn't mean we're going to change the production. And I think Nick's got to really show Jeff Lurie, like, what is the conduit to change? And it's not just about players. It's about how we call the game, how we adjust the game, and how we practice. And I believe this, he's going to have to answer what is going on with the strength and conditioning there, because we were not in great shape. We were not fundamentally sound. So what can we do? And he's going to have to explain this to Jeffrey Lurie. What can he do to improve his practice habits and their ability to improve during the season, which is the most vital part of any team?
And we know the expectations in Philadelphia are high, especially coming off of a Super Bowl appearance the way they did last year. Let's go to Jordan Love, a young quarterback who had to fill really, really difficult shoes with Aaron Rodgers moving on in his first full season as a starter. Ended up leading his team to the divisional round, a close game with the Super Bowl favorite, but had a couple costly interceptions, including the one that sealed the game for San Francisco. He's expected to negotiate a contract extension this offseason, which could make him one of the higher paid NFL quarterbacks around the league, Michael. So what does Love need to improve on for him to take that next step and earn that type of contract as a franchise QB?
Bill Walsh used to tell all great young quarterbacks, the first year is your year to get used to everything. The second year is your huge jump year. And this is going to be the most important year of your career. You've got to make huge incremental progress in every single area. You need to take everything that you've done this year, from the game one to the last game, and you need to go over it in detail. And you need to study everything you did well, everything you did wrong. And you need to improve on what you did well, and you need to strengthen what you did wrong. And you need to be in that weight room. You need to be in that facility. You need to be working hard to show people that you're not going to be content because you just got a raise. Because that's what's going to look like. That's what it looks like in Philadelphia. You know, Jalen Hurts just got a huge contract. All of a sudden, it's not the same. You've got to dispel that myth immediately. And it's all through your work habits, which you'll do. But you've got to improve. To me, the greatest step any player makes is from year one to year two. And you have to do that. And that's on you, because the rules won't let you. And then you've got to be able to tell LaFleur what you want to run, how you want to run things, what you feel like is the best interest for your program, on how you best execute the offense, and go from there and strengthen it. And don't listen to all the great talk, because all those people talking positively about you, 4 years ago were wondering why the hell you got drafted.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.